Well, good evening, Paige. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm doing very well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Well, first of all, thank you so much for your work with Purple for Parents, because your organization actually waked up a lot of parents.
I'm not with Purple for Parents.
No?
No, I'm with Moms for Liberty.
Oh, I thought you, or maybe the okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think somehow I mistake you for the other, but you
that's okay.
uh, now it come back to me.
Yeah, I'm the chairman for Moms for Liberty, Hamilton County.
Okay, all right.
But I do know, Purple for Parents and have worked with them too. So we're
Right,
kind of all in this fight together.
right. I mean, I think I saw you with with Purpose for Parents.
Right. I have worked with them and spoken with them. So
Very good. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so and first of all, tell me a little bit about this organization. It's kind of new, right? At least for Indiana.
it is for Indiana. Moms for Liberty has been around. It is a grassroots movement that started, and I believe it started in Florida. That's
Okay.
where it actually got started.
Oh,
And we are focusing on three main things. It's the mask, it's vaccination mandates,
right.
and it's the SEL CRT
Yep.
in our school. So that
Right.
is those are our three focuses that we really stick to. So
Okay.
and we deal obviously some with the legislation, because that does affect those, that can affect all three of those.
Right. Exactly. And have you? I think probably saw you at maybe at the State House.
Yep, I've been down there. I testified
Right.
for the Senate for House Bill 137 that they dropped. We've also been down there for 1134.
Right.
And House Bill 17 on the pornography.
Okay. I heard that SB 17 is in some kind of trouble. Is that true?
It's very disappointing to me, because we have a super majority in the Senate. We have 39 Republicans and 11 Democrats. And why we can't get these things through, I truly don't understand. And I'm brutally honest at times, but I am starting to learn that many of our senators are more concerned about being reelected than they are our children.
Yeah.
And that has been eye-opening for me. It's been very disappointing. And it tells me that we've got work to do once we get into May. And I know some of them are far more concerned about being reelected. And this is about children. These are kids that are sent to school that have no choice and are being taught things that really, if parents only knew. Parents have been kicked out of schools for 2 years now. They're not allowed in.
Wow.
And what's been able to come through, and what concerns me the most, are K through 5, because those children don't have the same voice and the ability to communicate with their parents. And those are the parents that do show up for lunch, that do volunteer in the classroom, and all that has been completely stopped for 2 years.
Wow. And have they given any reason, like why they don't want parents getting involved?
Well, they keep saying because of COVID.
Okay, that's very convenient. Yeah.
And Governor Holcomb has said, once we have 80% of our students vaccinated, we can get rid of the man. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And
we will never reach that threshold because they continue to move it.
And also, it is not safe for children.
No, it's not safe for anyone.
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like even like a country like UK, they don't vaccinate children because they have concern about the long-term effect. And now here, it's just not. I mean, sometimes I'm pretty angry. I mean, I think you are too, because this is our kids, right? Those kids we're talking about.
Right. Well, and I look at these blue states, you look at Illinois, Oregon, they're lifting the mask mandates. Why? Because they know the primary's coming and they've got to free their people or they're out, and they know it. Nice. So we've got these blue states that are now going mask optional, And here we are in Indiana with a supermajority and supposedly a Republican governor. And I do use the word supposedly.
Yeah.
And we can't get rid of the mask mandate. And he just signed another executive order. I mean, it is time for we the people need to get involved.
Right.
And, you know, that's been probably for the past year, what I've been trying to do is get parents to really understand what's happening. I taught for 33 years. And SEL and CRT, all of that started in 2014. And parents are so far behind the ball and don't have any idea. But the teacher training actually started in 2014.
Oh, wow.
We started implementing it to the students in 2016.
Okay. So which school district you were?
I was in Carmel for 33 years.
The Carmel is kind of a little bit more progressive than the other school district.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. And yeah, their school board is just terrible.
Yeah. Well, and when, you know, we did the book reading, we were the first ones, you know, in the state of Indiana that brought the book issue. And I will tell you, when we did that, the first thing we did was email. And having worked for Dr. Beresford, I was truly a big fan of his. I really, I thought he just has no idea. And of course he wouldn't. And I thought once we let him know what was going on, that he would be like, oh my gosh, we're going to get on top of this. This is not acceptable. And when we read the books, and his comment was, we didn't meet community standards by reading those books because kids could be watching. I was like, do you hear what you're saying?
Right.
Kids are getting these books. These books are in elementary, middle school, and high school.
Right.
And then he said that some of the books we read weren't in our schools. We had taken screenshots, and we have every book that we read with a screenshot in which libraries had them. Right. So basically we were called liars, and we weren't.
Wow.
And I asked him to apologize, and he did.
He didn't.
And
wow.
So, you know, we're fighting a lot of different fronts here. And unfortunately, we've got people in our community that think this is great.
Yeah.
And the over sexualizing of our children. Why are we even discussing this in the elementary schools?
Yeah. And well, I remember when I was testifying for SB 17, and there are several librarians came give testimony, and they're basically saying, I don't know if they do it on purpose or they just don't understand it, and somehow I think they probably have done that. On purpose now. Based on what I have been seeing, they are basically saying like, trying to say, okay, the parents just want to like ban the books, and that's not at all. And yeah, I'm still
here's the difference.
Feel emotional when I kind of recall what I felt at that time. Yeah.
Well, and people say that, you know, we're trying to ban books. There is a big difference between, I'll use Carmel Public Library and a school library.
Right.
When parents take their children into the Carmel Public Library, they are supervising what they're allowing their children to look at and to get,
right,
which is absolutely fine. You can have anything you want in a public library. I do not support book banning in any public library. They can have whatever they want, and hopefully they've got something to offend everyone because it's a public library. Our school libraries are different, because when you have those books available to students without the parental oversight, our number one goal at Moms for Liberty is to give parents back their rights. And they are the parents of these children, not the schools, not the teachers, not the media specialists. And what we have found is in some of the schools, we've got media specialists pushing books on kids. That's not okay. That's not a child seeking out their own knowledge. Right. That is someone that has an agenda.
Right. Yeah, I interviewed Ramona Basinger a couple of days ago. So she's a teacher at Rhode Island, and 2020 and 2021, she noticed that a lot of books were removed. And then the new books comes in that's full of all those kind of junks. I don't know if you see similar things at Camel, kind of like they have get rid of the, you know, um, the books they used to have, them have put in some new books in.
We haven't really noticed that. The nice thing is any person can go onto the Destiny website and look at any book that's in Carmel Clay Schools library. So
Okay.
you can get a list of books and you can go put that in the Destiny search and it will tell you if we have it and where it is.
Okay.
So we do have and that's what we've done. And that's how we were able to know what books were in what place.
So have they removed those books?
Nope.
Still there.
Mhm.
Wow.
And more. They've added to it.
And have they done anything to protect the children not to get those books? Maybe just not age appropriate?
Some of the books have been moved to a section that if a parent requested, then they could get that book, but not many of the titles are still available to the kids.
No.
And, you know, having been in the schools, I've had children, very few, probably in my 33 years, maybe 2 or 3, that were having gender identity issues.
Mm-hmm.
What I knew, and sometimes it happened, I'm sure, and I wasn't aware because parents don't have to share that with us.
Right.
That is their children.
Right.
And the 2 parents that did share it told me that they were seeking out professional help and they didn't want me to address this in any way with their child.
Right.
And I'm not qualified to address the things.
Yeah.
And I certainly didn't want to do anything that would go against any of the help that they were getting. And, you know, teachers are qualified to teach.
Right.
And we do handle a lot of different issues.
Right.
And it's, you know, like when SEL first came on, to be honest with you, that's been something we've had the entire time I've been teaching. The SEL is a trauma-based program. And we do have kids that come from trauma.
Okay.
What they've done now is we're treating every child as if they come from trauma. Wow. And that's not true.
No.
And my frustration as a classroom teacher was the amount of time I was losing to teaching to do these other things that not every child needed.
Right, exactly.
And if you look at our scores, they're ridiculous. Right. We have high achieving students. And the other thing, all schools have to have a school improvement plan. Mm-hmm. And Carmel it used to be really easy to get to. Now they're not. It's much easier to go to the state website and you can get them.
Wow.
When I pulled Smoky Rose down, not one of their parts of their school improvement plan had anything to do with academics. Not one. It was all based on social emotional learning.
Right. Well,
and
the thing is, like, when the social emotional learning started, their selling point is that it can help improve academics, but the result actually is totally opposite.
Right, because it's taking away classroom time. Everything you add to the classroom, something's getting deleted. My last year there, I happened to be, one of my former students was a senior on the soccer team. And they were allowed to bring an educator that meant a lot to them. And it was very nice. He recognized me.
Okay.
And before we went out, I was talking to, different teachers. We were all kind of waiting together. And 2 of the high school foreign language teachers said, do you mind if we ask you a question? And I said, no, of course not. And she said, a lot of our students are having difficulties learning foreign languages because they don't know grammar for English. And I said, well, that's because we're no longer teaching formal grammar. And she said, are you kidding me? And I said, no, we're supposed to be teaching it through Lucy Calkins' writing, which you do these individual meetings with them. There is no formal grammar at
Wow.
all.
Really?
And my last 4 years of teaching, which I retired in May of 2020, there was no formal grammar program. And so it was up to the individual teacher if you taught it and what you taught. I did teach formal grammar,
Right.
but the majority, I mean, it wasn't part of the curriculum.
That is not right. So it's not even in our state curriculum, the Department of Education.
It's the state standards are very open to interpretation.
Oh.
And so it's all on how you interpret it. And when you look at basically when Carmel adopted Lucy Calkins, it was to begin with not a standalone curriculum, meaning it could be a supplement, but it couldn't be a standalone.
Okay.
I don't know what happened, but overnight.
Who's Lucy Calkins?
Lucy Calkins is the writing and reading program in elementary for Carmel. And if you look at her materials, they are far below what our kids should be doing.
Wow. So she's what? She's the director or something?
She's an author that came up with this program.
Oh.
And like I said, in order for them to adopt her, it had to be approved by the state. Right. And at first she was not approved this curriculum was not approved by the state as a standalone. You could use it as a supplement.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden it reached standalone status.
Wow.
And Lucy Calkins is Carmel's reading and writing program.
Wow.
And there is no rigor.
And is she also her books also used in other schools?
Oh yeah, a lot of the Indiana districts have that, but there is no book. Basically, you're to teach these reading skills through what the kids are choosing to read.
No, wow. So it's just a way of teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no, wow. And I bet a lot of parents probably don't even know about this. No,
they don't. And as parents, and we've had many parents that are trying to get a hold of the curriculum because they want to look at it. And there was a time whenever we did curriculum adoption, because every year we're adopting something, parents were on that committee. And parents have always been able to come in and look at the curriculum. We're a public school.
Right.
We accept public funds, and parents should be able to come in and look at the materials. And now that's changed, and I don't know why. And some people say, well, you were a teacher and now you're against teachers. I'm not against teachers.
No.
I am the biggest advocate for them. And, when SB 137 came out, or 1134, and it said that teachers had to post their lesson plans. I mean, I told the legislators we were working with, I'd quit too. And there was a big disconnect. They didn't understand truly what lesson plans were. What they thought to be true was when we adopt a curriculum, let's say it's Silver Burdette and Ghent. Let's say we adopted them. They thought our lesson plans came from Silver Burdette and Ghent. They didn't realize that we were writing our own plans.
Okay.
And so I told them, as elementary teachers, I write basically 7 plans a day. That's 35 a week. But with my reading groups, I've had as many as 5 reading groups. So that's 35 plans on top of that.
Okay.
And I said, you're talking about teachers doing 60 to 70 plans a week. And then you want us to go back if we change anything. I said, that's not even realistic.
Right.
Because we're either going to spend our time doing that, or we're going to be doing great lessons and plans. Right. So they did drop that. Now, nobody wants to keep admitting, wants to bring that out. They keep saying that it's in there. It's not.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that. So really, you bring that experience as a teacher. And something I don't like it is because I don't want the government to have too much power.
Right.
That's kind of my principle there. Yeah.
And part of being a teacher is the creative side.
Right.
Where we get to create, and we get to know, especially in elementary, you get to know your kids very well.
Right.
And so as you get to know them, and you continue to work with them, you can do amazing things with kids.
Right.
And, the rigor can be there. Kids need a rigorous academic curriculum.
Yeah.
Life is going to be hard. They can do hard things.
Right. Well, if we expect them, but right now the expectation is so low, they don't have to do
Right.
anything. I mean, yeah, I have seen this as a math teacher. The math skills of the students are getting worse and worse. And now it's become so common that a lot of students, they don't even, they haven't really mastered times table yet.
We don't require them to master the facts
And now they're
anymore.
like high school and doing algebra. I mean,
Right.
you just set them to fail.
Right.
Yeah. Which yeah, I know. One thing when I was teaching at a traditional school, and that's where I can quit because it become harder and harder to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the administration have just too much control. And sometimes if some important parents have objections, and they will talk to the principal, and the principal will, you'll come to us and say, don't do that, or don't teach this, and don't do that, or you teach, in certain ways, so they can, yeah. But anyway, from my perspective, administrations have too much power over the teachers, and they are not really treating teachers as professionals. Just like I said, there is a creative side of us, and that
right.
gets yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as a mom for liberty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you trying to do? I know you have the goal there,
right.
But what can you do to accomplish those?
Well, one thing we're doing, February 23rd, we are kicking off with Tony Kinnett. We have a speaker coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically just educating parents. It's giving them the tools that they need to go in and ask good questions. I always looked at teaching like a triangle,
right,
where the parent was on one side, I was on the other, and then the child was at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And the parent and I, our relationship was that strong base that held those kids up so they could continue to achieve.
Right.
And I think a lot of the parents are intimidated by the schools. And I hear from moms all the time. I just got a thing from a mom tonight, and I think her child's in third or fourth grade, and they were supposed to have a test tomorrow, but because of bad behavior, she moved the test up a day. Well, assessments, what I told her is assessments are tools to let teachers know if the students are mastering the material. Right. They are not to be weaponized for bad behavior. I mean, that just goes against what an assessment is.
Right.
And there's been a couple other issues with this teacher, and her child has basically wrote his mom a little journal entry. And I said, you know what, you have come to a point where you need to step in for your child. He is yelling for your help. And as parents, I think sometimes they don't know how to do that, do it effectively without anger,
right,
but just going in and saying, this is what's going on. This is my child's perception. And we're continuing to have problems because she has been in a couple times.
Okay.
So, I just try to work with parents. I try to let them know that most teachers want to come alongside you. There are far more great teachers out in our districts than there are a few bad apples. And, there are, of course, we can always do better. I never did the same thing twice. That's what I loved about teaching. Every year it was a new job. But it's encouraging parents to get back involved. I think we are trying to wake a sleeping giant. They became, Carmel's known for their schools, and parents have been, relatively happy with what's going on until some of this starts coming to light.
Right. And also, the good teachers need parents to support them.
Right.
Yeah, because as a teacher, I know, I mean, most teachers, they don't want to get into trouble.
Right.
So they just keep silent.
Hmm.
And if there is support from the parent side, that definitely can help them.
Well, and I think that's kind of what's happened too, is they haven't had that support because the parents haven't been allowed in.
Right.
And, there's not that getting to know the families.
Mm,
And that's what was so nice before about teaching. You got to meet the parents, you could have any type of relationship, with them, where some teachers like to have parents in the classroom a lot, some
mhm,
teachers don't.
mhm,
Um, some people still do parent teacher conferences.
mhm.
I was very disappointed when Carmel did away with those, because I felt like those were vital for student achievement.
So
Um,
they just canceled it.
yeah, we haven't had conferences in years. A lot of us still did them, but
Wow.
we had to do it on our own time.
Really?
I
Wow.
felt like in elementary school, we should have them twice a year. I felt like we should have them in September, towards the end of September, where we could say, you know what, I've had your child this long.
Mhm,
This is what I see their strengths
right.
are.
Mhm,
This is something I think we are really going to have to focus on.
mhm,
And then I thought in May, it would be a great time to say, this is what your child's achieving.
mhm.
As you go into the summer, this is something you're going to want to make sure that review and that
Right.
you keep shored up.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and this is what you can do.
Right.
Uh, but
Wow.
that didn't happen.
Well, the thing is, like, from what I have seen, is that now there is this force coming down from top, like the CRT, SEL, it really is top down kind of push.
Hmm.
And the focus is not academics. The focus is turn them into some kind of social justice
Right.
activists. And that
Well, it's based on feelings,
is very harmful to the kids.
Right.
Yeah, because now you got those kids when they graduate, they really don't have the skill,
Hmm.
and then they've been told that everything is the society is fault. They are the victims, and
Right.
there to really trying to change the world, and that is very, very dangerous.
Well, you're either a victim or you're a victimizer. I mean, that's just the two choices. And I don't believe that.
Right. And do you see those kind of while when you are a teacher there, do you see that they are trying to separate like the white teachers from uh, like teacher of color?
When I was there, we did not have the DIE officer yet.
Okay.
And so that came after I left. And I think we see that a lot more in the middle school and high school
Mm,
than we do in the elementary buildings,
okay. So
from what
you're
I've been able to ascertain from teachers that I talk to.
I see. So you are in the elementary school, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did 33 years in elementary.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So I think it's more in your middle school and high school.
Right. I think they pushed from high school down, then middle school, then they were going to
Hmm.
push down to elementary school now. Yeah, it is a very, very dangerous ideology. That means it's really just a neo-Marxism. I mean, if you look at their writings and their beliefs, and like there is a book by Ibram Kendi, How to Be an Anti-Racist.
Hmm.
That book is basically a recommended reading for many school districts. And he
Right.
made that clear. He said that capitalism is racist, racism is capitalist.
Right.
And so in order to dismantle racism, you have to dismantle capitalism.
Well, and then Kendi has a book for elementary that's being pushed too.
Right.
And
Even kindergarten, there is a
right.
anti-racist baby. Yeah.
Yep. So you're starting to see that come down to the lower grades. That was not the case when I was there.
Right.
And like I told you, there are far more good teachers than teachers, especially in elementary, that are willing to put up with this nonsense. And
Mm,
it is nonsense. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
right.
And that are tired of their teaching time being wasted. And
Right.
that's what it is. It's wasted.
Yeah.
And you don't get those minutes back.
No.
And, that's why you see our scores falling.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely look at how much time we're spending away from teaching. And quite honestly, a lot of these things that our group Moms for Liberty is doing is saying, you know what, you're the parent. You need, for example, I had a parent contact me and say, look, my kid came home today and now they're going to have a Zen zone in their classroom. And I don't agree with it. I'm like, well, this is what you need to do. You need to email the teacher, CC the principal, the vice principal, and the counselor, and say, your child's name came home today, said the teacher is introducing the Zen zone in the classroom where kids can go whenever they want to, that is not what your family is teaching. And it really goes against that. And if your child is ever that upset that they might need that, you need to be called and you will come work through those issues because you are the parent.
Right, exactly.
And you know what? There were times I did call parents in the middle of the day if child needed to maybe just talk to a parent or, those type of things. I am not their parent.
Right.
I, love them. I was their teacher,
Right.
but I never crossed that line. And that's what I see happening and why parents are so upset.
Right.
I mean, it's outrageous to me that in kindergarten through 5th grade, we are putting these Zen zones in our classrooms. And that did start when I was there, and I refused to do it because my whole point was, if you're telling me I have to have, they were called safe spots then you're telling me the rest of my classroom isn't safe, and I won't buy that.
Right.
My entire room is a safe spot. It's a safe spot to learn, to make mistakes, to grow, to try new things.
Right.
But I'm not going to have a safe spot. And
and also we need to have a standard. We need to have, also teach them to be responsible, right? Eventually they are going to become adult, has to be responsible. It's not just going, okay, if you like it or not, right?
Right.
If we don't like it, I'm just not going to learn. No.
And there's always been kids that may need that.
Right.
So as a teacher, what I would do is talk to the office ladies and say, you know what, I've got a kid and sometimes he just needs to get out of the classroom.
Right. Right.
So when I see that we're hitting that, I'm going to hand him a folder and ask him to bring it to the office. And that means, so if you want to talk to him for a minute or two or whatever, that's fine. If he stops and gets a restroom break or a drink break, that's fine.
Yeah.
But as a teacher, I know that.
Right.
I know kids that well.
Right.
And so when I would see that, instead of introducing a safe spot with fidgets, I would have this set up in advance, and he'd take this where he felt like he was doing something worthwhile. He was delivering this for me, and it was getting him out of that situation.
Yeah, this is kind of old, old methods of education is like right now they call student center or whatever. So, or the student led. I don't know. I mean, they changes the names all the time.
Oh yeah.
Basically, it's let the kids basically decide what to do. No, it's not. I mean, that's not how it works. And I mean, when I was growing up in China, we tried that for about maybe one semester. That didn't work out. So we do that again. But they just, and
well, we've gotten rid of grades. We don't give the grades now in kindergarten through 4th grade.
So what do you give?
They get like it's a standards-based report card where they get a 1, 2, 3, or 4. We have where they're not, quote, allowed to fail. They're allowed to retest. Well, the kids are really smart. They learn, okay, I don't need to study.
Right.
I'm going to see what's on the test and then I'll take it again.
Right.
I mean, kids are very smart. They're a lot smarter than they're given credit.
Right.
And so they're not developing good study habits. A good study habit is not, well, I'm going to see what's on the test and then I'll study that part and then I'll learn, but that is what's happening. And I think it's, in life, you don't get to keep doing, quote, do-overs.
No, there's no do-over. Many times you only get one shot at it.
Right. And I look at my husband and, they're trying to hire people and, the work ethic that he's seeing now. And, and even getting people to want to work.
Right.
It's amazing. And what he's paying now per hour is, I'm about ready to go get it signed up and I'll do the job.
Yeah.
But, it's just, you're seeing this across the country. And, when people say, well, of course I get a lot of bad press, which I quite frankly don't read and don't care. But when you see this many parents across the nation, this isn't just here in Carmel, Indiana.
Oh, no.
You are seeing this across the nation. It is time for people to take a look and say, maybe something they're having to say is right. I need to look into this.
Right.
And I'm not saying people, you have to come listen to us and do what we say.
Right.
I'm saying you need to get to the school. You need to start saying, I'm the parent.
Right.
You do have parental rights, and
Right.
the school is stepping on your parental rights.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things we are talking to parents about.
Very good.
Because I think it's important.
Yeah. If the parents want to do something, what kind of help they can get from your organization?
Well, like I said, we do have monthly meetings.
Mhm.
We plan to continue bringing in guest speakers that have specific things that align with what we are working on.
Mhm.
Sometimes people reach out to me and say, you know what, we want to go, talk about public libraries. We're not getting into public libraries.
No.
I think public libraries should have books that offend everyone.
Yeah.
If they're doing their job.
Right.
But we definitely, I'm not the expert on everything. I know a lot about elementary and curriculum and what I believe is good teaching,
Right.
but I don't know middle school and high school. So I'm trying to bring in those people to help those parents.
Right.
And basically, we are concerned about a vaccine mandate coming.
Yeah.
We're concerned about the masks because we are seeing kids that are struggling now with speech.
Oh, yeah.
We are seeing more speech IEPs. We're
Uh-huh.
seeing more lag time in learning to read in K1 and 2. And what we do know is if we don't get these kids caught up for reading by the time they're in 3rd grade when they leave, the chances of them ever catching up are very few.
Right. I mean, that's
And
many study has done on that.
right.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing kids that are afraid to go without their mask.
Yeah.
And I think making them optional, you'll still have a lot of kids in masks until they see it's okay.
And also, I think that create anxiety, which is totally unnecessary, because those children so far, even they catch it, there is no one died from it, first of all, and second of all, it's not that serious.
Right.
I mean,
not with the kids.
Yeah.
And I've had it. I was sick for a couple days.
Right.
Had a fever, felt like crap. I mean, it was like having the flu.
Right.
And that's the other thing. The thing about the vaccine is this is not a vaccine.
No.
This is like the flu shot, and it's a crapshoot. Right. Some years the flu shot works, some years it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing more than that. This is not a vaccine. There is no other vaccine that you can still get it and get it multiple times. And not only can you get it, but you can give it to someone else.
Right.
I have a polio vaccine. I can't get polio and I can't give polio.
Mm-hmm.
And so to even say this is a vaccine, I think is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's been enough studies on it. If I had a young child, there's no way I'd be putting.
I wouldn't, because so far there is no study done on any side effect and also long-term effect. I mean, if someone wants to, be the test group, I mean, that's fine. But
then that's your choice.
Right.
But that's the thing with the governor, the reason that he keeps calling for this state of emergency is it because it's allowed. Although I think now both of the vaccines have been, quote, approved beyond just for medical emergencies, but not the children's vaccine.
No.
And so it allows those things to continue.
Yeah. What? Yeah. It probably has something to do with the federal money.
Oh, well, the schools all took the ESSER grants.
Right. The school definitely. I mean, just for the state wants to have, the mandate and all that. Right.
And it's the federal money. I mean, that is the federal government and their overreach.
Right.
And once you take the federal dollars, you have to follow the guidelines.
Right.
Truly, I believe what is probably going to happen, I think there will need to be a bunch of parents pulling their kids out of public education.
Right.
Because money seems to be a big catalyst. In fact, Carmel, they're down $2 million.
Right.
But they didn't cut staff at ESC, they cut programs for kids.
Oh, wow.
The cuts they made were they don't print the highlight magazine at the high school anymore. They made cuts in, I believe, radio and TV. But we've got, Carmel is so heavy at ESC. They have more people working up there, so many people that now we're adding on to the building more offices. So we can hire more people to pay them that aren't affecting our student data and our student ratios. It's ridiculous.
Do you know how many non-teaching staff in Carmel, Clay?
I don't know. That's a great question. I need to find that out.
Yeah, I know IPS, there are more non-teaching staffs than teachers.
I don't know that we're there yet. I think we have way too much.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think, are you going to do something for school board?
Me personally, or our group?
Your organization, or will you be involved and encourage parents to run for school board? Because I think we have to take over school board first. And that
absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like, emergency kind of, you stop the bleeding.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, because we'll have 3 seats open. My concern is I don't want to dilute the I don't want to have too many conservatives running so that we split the vote.
Right.
So that's something, one thing that I am hoping to do is to get with some of these other groups and see if we can all kind of come together.
Right.
And support 3 candidates. And really, it's going to take money, it's going to take time, but that is the most important. If we can flip the school board, we can make a lot of changes.
Yeah. Well, even if we can get 1 or 2 in there,
right?
Then we'll have the someone inside to tell us what is going on.
Right. Well, and I will tell you what's really interesting to me is when you look at the school board votes over the past 5 years, they've always had 100% yes.
Yeah.
And we've only had a couple times where someone didn't vote.
Right.
But there's never been any controversy, discussion. No. There's never been any discourse or somebody voting no.
Yeah.
And that concerns me.
Right.
There should be discussion, dialogue.
Right.
And if we can't even get 5 people to agree on one thing, much less we got a board that agrees every single time. That is very suspicious to me.
Well, most of the boards are basically rubber stamps.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I will tell you, when I was running for school board, they had a meeting with the candidates. And one of the things that they said was, Dr. Beresford said, he ran the meeting, which I thought was interesting. Why is he running a school board meeting when he works for the school board?
Right.
But we were told that if we were on the school board, if we wanted to go to a school, that we needed to go through him to make that arrangement. I'm like, no, we don't. You work for the school board. School board doesn't work for you.
Right.
And if I'm on the school board, I'm a trustee and I can have keys to every building. And I can walk in those buildings anytime.
Right. And you should.
And you should.
Right.
You absolutely should.
Right.
And that's been one of my other things.
Wow.
When I've been working with some of the legislators that are on the education committee, and I say things and I'm telling them what's going on. And I did say to one of them, aren't you out in the schools? I mean, you're on the education committee.
Right.
I would assume that you're out in the buildings.
No.
And they didn't say anything. And I'm thinking, how can you be on the education committee and never walk into a school?
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. Yeah.
So
they just, wants to climb the ladder,
Well,
go to
I
Washington.
think this may backfire on them
Mhm.
because if we can't get something through with a super majority, then it's time that we look at who we're electing.
Right. Yeah. So, will your organization do something for that, like for the primary?
Probably.
Okay.
We need to check with nationals. That's the other thing.
Right.
Because we are a national organization, there are certain rules that we have to follow.
Right.
And we're new, so we're just kind of learning all this stuff.
Mhm.
And so we're just kind of getting our feet wet. So
Right.
we've got a lot to learn.
Mhm.
But we definitely want to start, inviting the community in. We have a public and a private forum.
Right.
And people say, why do you do that? Well, because we've got parents that want to join in a private forum because
Right.
they have jobs that they need to keep.
Right.
And you people that don't agree with us, you go after our jobs.
Right. Yeah.
And, they did to Todd Houston, and then they bragged about it. This is supposed to be the inclusive group.
No.
You're inclusive to only people that believe your way.
Right.
And
Well,
if you don't,
their inclusive means that if they want to go to your house, you have to let them in.
right.
But you cannot go to their house.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I mean by they're inclusive. Mhm. Wow. Well, thank you so much for, share with me. And
You're welcome.
yeah, definitely. I'm trying to really using this medium to reach out as many parents as possible.
Well, if I can be of any assistance, just let me know.
Sure, definitely. I'm sure we'll talk again.
I'm sure we will. Well, thank you. I enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, same here. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.